The topic for today is very serious. We're going to talk about suicide. Before we get on into it, I want to say welcome to my channel, or welcome back. My name is Stephanie. I'm Long Island's eating disorder specialist. I post on this channel twice a week all about eating disorders, body image issues, and general mental health. So if any of that is interesting to you or you think you could find it beneficial, definitely consider clicking the subscribe button down below. I also have a weekly blog and an Instagram, so feel free to check those out. I will leave those links in the description below. Also, I would highly encourage you to sign up to my email list. I have a link in the description below, and what happens when you sign up to my email list is you'll get weekly newsletters with what's to come that week with regards to my content. But additionally, I create resources that go along with many of my videos, and you will get that at the beginning of the week. This way, if there's any worksheets or anything available, you will be able to work through that when you're watching my video. So definitely consider that. But I want to let you know, if you're subscribing at a later time to my email list, you can absolutely, when you get the welcome email, reply to it and let me know if there's a video or a resource that you're looking for that you weren't subscribed to my list at that time, so you didn't get that. Just let me know which it is and I will absolutely get that over to you. Also, if you found this video helpful, please consider giving it a thumbs up. It helps other people who may be struggling find the video and find the channel. But if there's anyone that you know that is either struggling with thoughts of suicide, or that you are concerned are struggling with thoughts of suicide, go ahead and send this video over to them so that they can hear a little bit more about what they might be going through. I truly believe that everyone could benefit from watching this video, whether you have struggled with suicidal thoughts currently or in the past, whether you know someone who you're concerned is struggling with suicidal thoughts, or whether you have no connection to suicide whatsoever, or someone who may be suffering with mental health. It is also really helpful information for you to understand and for you to know, so that you are prepared if that ever comes up in your life, or someone ever in your life is struggling with it. It's going to be something that's going to be really helpful as a resource for you to know. Before we move on into the actual content, I want to let you know that if you are considering suicide, there is help available to you. I'm going to leave a number on the screen. That is for the United States National Suicide Hotline. You can call them 24 hours a day if you are considering it. You can absolutely talk to them, and they have people on the other end who are caring and can help you. Now, what I want to say is, if you are really at the point that you don't think you could keep yourself safe, and this is with regards to the people in the United States, call 911 for help. You're not alone in it. And there's also a text crisis hotline. What you need to do is text the word hello to 741-741, and there will be people on the other end who can help you. Because sometimes it's so hard to pick up the phone if you're really, really struggling in that moment. So if you cannot call someone, then use that text line. But tell someone that you love that you're struggling, so that they know and they can help keep you safe. Now, if you are not in the United States, it's a little different for your country. It depends on your country. I would encourage you highly to look up the numbers for your country. Most countries have a suicide hotline. Most countries, well, all countries have some sort of 911, which is an emergency response line. So if you are looking for police or medical attention, look and know what it is for your country, so that if you are struggling, you can absolutely call that number. You don't want to wait until you are actually in that episode to try to figure that out, because that is the last thing that you want to do. You just need to have those numbers accessible if you are ever struggling with that. If you are already subscribed to my email list, you would have gotten a PDF, which is a safety plan. And this is if you are ever struggling, or you have struggled with thoughts of suicide or hurting yourself. This is a resource that you could fill out, and it's really just to make sure that you know all of your options and who you can talk to, what you can do to cope in that moment. And it's really just setting that plan into motion if you are ever feeling that you are at risk for committing suicide or for hurting yourself, that plan is going to be really helpful for you. If you are watching this at a later date, please reach out to me. Let me know that you're looking for the safety template, and I will absolutely get that over to you. So what I want to talk about for this video is the differentiation between suicidal ideation and suicidal intention. They are different, and it's really important for you to know the difference, because it could be really scary if you have thoughts of suicide and you're not really sure if that's something that you should be concerned with. And of course you should be concerned with it, but just to the level of which you should be concerned will depend on how it actually is for you. And I'll get into that, explain what that means in a moment. But what we need to understand is that there are differences between suicidal ideation and suicidal intention. You may have experienced, and many people have experienced, suicidal ideation. And you may also reference it as suicidal ideation that's passive or suicidal ideation that's active. In the case of active, that you could switch that out for intent. That is that category. So for passive suicidal ideation, that might look like having thoughts such as, it would be so much better if I wasn't here. And you might have thoughts about how you would do it, but it's a very fleeting thought, or maybe you think about it a little bit, but there's not a compulsion to actually go ahead and act on it. So these are thoughts, but they are not at the point that you are going to turn them into action, and you don't really feel that this is something that you are going to be doing in anywhere in the near future. These passive suicidal ideation thoughts may last a while, and it may be something that you struggle with constantly. And that's not to say that you shouldn't get help for that. You should absolutely be getting help for it. You should be seeing a therapist if you ever struggle with suicidal ideation thoughts, because it could really help for you to work through that and figure out exactly why you are having those thoughts and get to the root of it and be able to address the root issue so that you can live your life in a much more happier and better state than whatever state you're in that you're having suicidal ideation thoughts. When does it become suicidal intent? So let me just talk about suicidal intent for a moment, or you may consider it active suicidal ideation thoughts. When you have suicidal intent, there's a risk that you are actually going to follow through on those thoughts. There's a risk that you are actually going to follow through on the plan to commit suicide. And that is something that you absolutely need to be contacting 911 or whoever is your emergency response in your country. If you're not within the USA, you need to contact them, because they will get to you and get you to a hospital. And I know that sounds so scary for so many people, but it is so important to do that. And it's so vulnerable and it's terrifying, but your life is worth it. You are worth living, and you are worth getting help and seeking the help that you need. And it's going to be a scary process, but you absolutely can get through it. You may have heard this already, but suicide is a permanent solution for a temporary problem. Even if you have struggled for a very, very long time in whatever the issue that you're dealing with is, and you feel like this is the only way out, I'm here to tell you, to promise you that there are alternatives to suicide. You can turn your life around. You can live a very happy life. You may feel that you can't, but recognize that as a feeling and as a thought. That does not mean that that is the truth. You may not have had that experience in the past, but that doesn't mean that your future can't be bright and that your future can't be something that you can look forward to and enjoy. Right now, you are really, really struggling, and I hope that you're getting the right help that you need, because you deserve it, and you should get the help that you need. If you ever see a therapist, maybe you are currently seeing one, or maybe you are considering seeing one, and you give them any inclination to the idea that you are considering or you're thinking about suicide, I don't want you to be scared to bring that up to them. Because so many people are afraid, because they think that what that's going to mean is that the therapist is going to be contacting 911 immediately, and then you're going to be rolling away, and there's going to be a big change in your life. That's not necessarily what happens. And I want to tell you what does happen so that you know what to expect and you're not afraid to bring that up. So if you are struggling with suicidal thoughts, what will happen is that your therapist will conduct a suicide risk assessment. And what that means is that they will just ask you some questions to gather whether or not this is a passive suicidal thought. And maybe it's very disturbing. That does not mean that passive means not disturbing. But they will differentiate if that means that it's something that is a passive suicidal ideation thought, or if it's something that they feel you are at risk of intending suicide. Is it suicidal ideation or suicidal intent? And that's what they need to figure out. If your therapist feels that you are not able to keep yourself safe, they will contact the emergency response. But that is for your safety. That is not to scare you. That is not for because they don't care about you. It's not because they're not listening. It's because they need to do that to keep you safe. If you are able to keep yourself safe and they feel that confident in that, then you can go ahead and develop a safety plan in the meantime for keeping yourself safe, and a plan if you do turn into having an intention to commit suicide. I hope that this video gave you some more clarification on the difference between passive suicidal ideation versus active suicidal ideation / suicide intention, and that it helps for you to know what help you need and that it encourages you to get the help that you need. I want you to take from this video that you need to be honest with your therapist. You need to understand that your life is worth it, that you can have a future that is not how it looks like it'll be today. Today you are struggling. That does not mean you will struggle tomorrow. So don't make permanent decisions based on what you're struggling with today. And please, if you feel that there's any risk at all for you to commit suicide, use the crisis hotlines. Find out what it is for your country. If you're in the United States, dial 911 if you are at risk. And even if you're struggling with suicidal ideation, you can absolutely still use those crisis hotlines. I hope that you found this video helpful. If you are in another country, please leave in the comments down below what country you're in and what are the numbers or the resources that you can use, so that if there is anyone else in your country, they will have access to that as well. You could click my face over here to subscribe to my channel, and I wish you knowledge that there is help available and there is hope on your journey to finding your state of balance. And I'll see you in my next video.